All right, guys. So my name is Isaac Rickelmer. I will be your instructor. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you. I have yet to have the pleasure of meeting others. We are going to get pretty familiar with each other because I think I'm the only one teaching labs this semester too. So let's get started. This is me. Important part is this is my email address. If you need something, email me, and try to keep like one email thread for all of our conversations. It just makes it a lot easier if I'm trying to like figure out who you are or something like that based on your email and not your face. Especially, it's gonna really help me to be able to like go back up in the conversation and review things. If you guys want to know, I graduated the program you guys are currently going through. If you're in electromechanical, if you're in mechanical, I took the first year as you, but that's about it. If you have any questions that I can't answer, I will do my best to get an answer for you. I'm not the type of person who will tell you I know something when I don't. When I don't know something, I'm going to be fairly honest about it. And if I have a guess that's like I'm more than 90% sure about, I'll tell you I'm just guessing. And if it's less than 90%, I'll probably just be like, just let me find out and I'll come back to you. I worked on robots while I was studying here. So there's a company that came to Humber. And they were like, hey, we have this robot and we want it to autonomously go through parking lots and give people parking tickets. And we want you to fix it and make it better. And they gave it to us. It was a complete black box. We couldn't do anything with it. For those who don't know, a black box is literally just like a machine that you can't see the code, you can't modify the code, you can't do anything with it. It's just like completely, you can't do anything with it if you don't have the proprietary information. So we had to literally start from scratch, and over the course of 2 years, with a team of 4 to 6 people at different times, we were able to, get a robot that runs around and moves around by itself and tracks a lot of information, uses AI and camera vision and a bunch of other really cool things. And it was a crazy journey. That company also offered me a job after graduating, and it's just to show you this is an incredible place to be Humber, because Humber, I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a guy named Bob Barrett. And he invested $30 million into Humber like 2 years ago. But it wasn't like just, hey, here's $30 million. It's like, hey, I'm giving you $2 million every year for the next 15 years. And I want to see more people end up in jobs. So he had a path plan for that. And as long as everything is like kind of working together, he's like helping Humber not just have a lot more funding, which ends up with a lot more scholarships that ends up in your pockets. FYI, if you guys haven't applied to like every scholarship available through my scholarships on my Humber, you should do it. There's a lot of money you can get from scholarships, and it's true when they say almost no one applies to them. I know personally because I used AI to like clean up 5 or 6 responses to each of the general questions they all ask, and I just applied to all of them with really nice answers, and I ended up getting at least 1 or 2 scholarships every semester I was in school. And some of those scholarships are small, like 1 to 2K, and some of them are big, like 5K or more. So, like really, it's there, it's for you. Take advantage of it while you're a student. And I was a student not too long ago. I get it. Student times are hard, and especially if you're a mature student who went back to school, you have a bunch of responsibilities you gotta like keep maintaining while you're studying. So, not too much more about me. If you guys want to know about me, feel free to come up to me anytime and ask, and we can chat. That's about it. So, what are we going to be talking about?
Can I ask questions before you start?
Absolutely, but you gotta start with your name.
Gary.
Gary, yes, Gary.
Hi. So the email part. So you want us to basically stick to the same email throughout the whole term, with like different questions throughout the semester.
Yeah, it would help me a lot if you guys just sent me emails on the same thread. Yeah, just one email and just reply. Think about it as a conversation with me versus this or that, right?
Sure.
And then if there's ever like a discrepancy or if we're not sure about something, we can just scroll up and be like, oh, you know what, you're right, I was silly. I forgot I told you you can have an extension until this date. No problem,
But like even
you have it.
Even throughout like different time, like different, even if it's an older thread, it's on a different topic.
Don't worry about the topics. In professional business practices, you're 100% right. You should have one email per topic.
Yeah.
But for the sake of this course and my sanity, there's a lot of you guys, and I don't want to confuse you. Yeah. Cool. So we're going to be talking about the timetable first. And how many of you guys have trouble accessing my Humber? No one? Cool. We're probably going to skip over that part. Then Blackboard, course requirements, communications, professional emailing practices, course guideline, course outline, course calendar, labs. We're gonna talk about integrity. We're gonna talk a little bit about AI real quick. We're gonna talk about your calculators. That's a pretty important one. Don't remember what video support means, but you know, it's there. We'll get to it, and then we'll have a Q&A after we talk about, and then we'll go on to like a conversation about safety. And then if there's time, I want to do icebreakers with everybody, just so I start to get a bit of your names and you guys get a little bit about each other, if there's time. So you guys all know how I use my Humber. I'm gonna skip this one. Textbook. So this is the textbook we're using. It's only available versus Pearson e-textbook. Your homework's in there. You need to get this. Now, this is the 9th edition we're opting in for. There is one that you guys are probably gonna take, which is the 8th one. It's acceptable. I'm not gonna say much more about the 8th one other than that. However, there is gonna be a section that isn't available in the 8th edition that you are probably going to get. Ilya, what's up?
It says the book is online, the 9th edition, but I have the physical copy. There's a physical one.
Yeah, if you got the 9th edition physically,
Yeah.
please let me know where you got it, because that's super awesome.
Here, I got it right here.
Yeah, yeah.
On Amazon.
On Amazon?
Yeah, it's the same book, just a different cover. Everything's the same.
Interesting. Cool. Send me the link. I'm curious about that. If you can find a physical book that is literally the exact same book, I have zero problems with that. I'm just saying from my experience, I haven't found it. So good on you. Thanks for sharing. Other than that, not too much more to say about it. So yeah, you're gonna need it pretty soon. Calculators, engineering notation. So do you guys know much about engineering notation? You guys learned a little bit about scientific notation though, right? All right, so let me pull up a marker over here real quick on the board. Do I have one in my pocket? I got one in my pocket. Everyone see over here okay? Okay, so we have a number here, let's say 4.73, actually that's a bad number. Let's use 374.73. All right, if we wanted to put that into scientific notation like you guys know, we're gonna move this back 2, and we're gonna have 3.7473 times 10 to the power of 2, negative 2, no, 2. Yeah, right, pretty easy. The difference between scientific and engineering is that engineering works in sets of 3. So this number in engineering notation would actually just be like that. If we were to add a few more numbers though, and be like 1, 2, 1, then the engineering notation for this would be, so we're moving it back another, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but we're gonna go for here because then there's 3 digits here. So it's gonna be here, which is 121 times 10 to the power of 3. So it's only gonna be in power of 3, 6, 9, negative 3, negative 6, negative 9. And does anyone have an idea why it would be in multiples of 3? Take a guess. I don't know if you guys have heard my lecture, my 30-second talk on failure, but I am a huge believer in failure. I got started on this failure thing. I got to finish it now. When it comes to all of the greatest achievements on the planet, it's always been people who fail over and over and over again. And then after a billion failures, or more like 1,000 to 10,000, they have one success. And that one success is so great that everyone like looks at them and they applaud them and they look at them and they forget about all of the failures that that person's ever had. No one has ever become great or smart without failing. And so whenever I like ask a question, I actually really want to see everyone like raise their hand up and be like, ooh, me, and then get it wrong. And like, that's the best for me. Because that means that you've asked a question, you've tried to answer it, you've realized there was a flaw in your thinking, and now you have an opportunity to really hear what I'm about to say. And it'll make a huge difference in your entire careers and lives just to adopt the mindset of like massive failure. Failure is the best thing on the planet, can't get enough of it. Okay, what was some, you were gonna say about the 3s?
Prefixes now.
For the prefixes, I just went on a big rant about failure, and here you go giving me the right answer, man. Jeez. Yeah, it's 100% about prefixes. So you guys ever heard about like milliamps, megaamps, kilovolts, or maybe kilometers? Do these look familiar to everyone? Yeah? So these are called metric prefixes, the part before whatever the measurement is. So this kilo represents 1,000, which is 10 to the power of 3. Right? That makes sense? So when we're in engineering notation, we like to talk to people with language. And it's the simplest language to be able to be like, okay, so we have 20 milliamps, right? Or it's gonna cost us 4 megavolts of power if you're at like a crazy power station or something like that. So the idea behind this is we're gonna get really used to using engineering notation, and your life will be absolutely miserable trying to get everything into engineering notation if your calculator does not have this little ENG symbol somewhere. Now, I don't care if it's like a button dedicated to it, or if it's like you press shift and then you go to ENG, like this one over here, if you can see, has SCI/ENG. And you click on it and you do shift, you click on it, and then you can choose between engineering or science. As long as you know how your calculator gets into engineering notation, you're solid, and that's great, and you have a good calculator. If your calculator does not have engineering notation, I highly recommend you buy one. And because you guys are in this program, and you're probably gonna be taking some math through the course, that gets a little bit complicated. You might as well opt in for one that has plus. It has a lot more functions, and then you can deal with imaginary numbers and stuff like that, which you'll probably be dealing with at the end of second year. Okay. The other thing is, if you guys do have a graphing calculator, for this course, it's totally cool, and it's actually amazing, because it will plot things for you and graphs for you, and do an incredible amount of things for you, but other courses probably won't let you use it for the exams. So, I'll say that. I will also give you guys a little bit of relief. All the exams are gonna be open book. Woo! Anyone excited? Yeah? All right, cool. And so if you try to store stuff on here, it's not gonna really help you either way, because it's open book. All right. Now, as we said, if you have anything you need, email me, see me in the hall, come up to me, talk to me. And whenever you're emailing me, make sure you include your full name and your student number. You wanna get used to emailing in like a professional form. And I'm not gonna get too deep into email practices, but there are gonna be a lot of email practices that you should start to adopt, like, make sure everything is capital I when you say I, and I think there's a slide on it. We'll get there when we get there. In terms of late stuff, here's how we're gonna do it. And this is pretty much my go-to policy, and it's the same as Lars's, if you guys know. Lars actually designed this entire course. I'm just here to teach it. He's brain beyond brain. I'm not gonna flatter him too much right now, but he's an unbelievable mind. Really respect him. In terms of being late, if you know you're gonna not be able to meet an assignment's due date, reach out to me before the due date. If you reach out to me the day after the due date, I'm not gonna help you unless you were like injured or in the hospital or something. If you message me before the due date and your entire reason for needing an extension is, I don't feel like I can get it in on time, I'll probably work with you. So it's gonna be like super lenient if you message me before and fairly harsh after the fact. I was a little bit nicer than I usually am last semester for the labs. This semester I'm gonna be cracking down a little bit more if you haven't messaged me before. So really get used to that practice. You need to be communicating in the professional world too. Like, you can imagine if your boss comes up to you and you're like, he's like, where's the report that I'm expecting, or where's the documents, or where's the numbers I need to present to the client? And you're like, oh yeah, I need another few days for it. You're gonna be in really hot water. But if you told them ahead of time and they had time to they might not be happy about it, but if they had time to like prepare for it mentally, and they're not about to walk into a meeting with the client, they can work with you, right? Maybe they'll have someone else help you. Maybe they'll take over some of the work themselves if you're overworked or whatever the case is. But you need to communicate. Or maybe they'll tell you, you know what, that other thing you're doing isn't important. Focus your attention to this one. I really need this one done, and then you can act accordingly. So really, it's a big one. Message before, you'll have an easy time. Message after, I'm gonna be a bit harder on you guys than I have been. Okay. People with accommodations, same rules apply. You just won't get late marks if I do extend it. It's pretty much it, and it really depends on your accommodation. In terms of the way the course is laid out, we got the demonstration for labs. It's gonna be worth 15%. That 15% is divided into two parts. There's the actual labs that you build and you get signatures for those. And then there's the Automation Studio files. Automation Studio, I highly recommend you guys already download it and start playing around with it. If you have trouble installing it, you should reach out sooner, not in week 10 or 12. And then we can help you get it installed so you can start working on those. Same thing, there's deadlines for those as well. And so each part of those, the lab that you build and the Automation Studio files are both gonna be worth 7.5%. For the practical exam, it's gonna be 30%. There's just one final one at the end of the course. It's worth a lot. So if you did all of your labs, you're gonna breeze through this one. In terms of the midterm exam, it's gonna be virtual. I'm gonna let you guys do it online, and it's worth 10% of your grade. I forget if there's one or two of them, but I think it's just one. And for the final exam, it's 15% of your grade. It will be here. You will be doing it on Blackboard. There will be a code that I put on after everyone's phone is turned off and put away, and you'll need that to access the exam. And if you're not here for the exam, you're not gonna get to write it unless you have a good reason and you've reached out about it ahead of time. In terms, pardon?
Sorry, so
Yeah.
do we need a laptop?
Robert, right?
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, for the actual class sessions, I don't think you need one while you're here unless you wanna take notes on them. It's mostly gonna be teaching.
What about for the final exam?
For the final exam, oh, I hear what you're saying. So that would make sense. I think that's, if you really can't figure it out for some reason, let me know, we'll figure it out. But they also have like free computers that the IT gives out for the students. So if that's a problem, I advise anyone who needs a computer to go to IT and figure out that process. I'm not 100% familiar with it. If you need help with it, I'm happy to dive into it and figure it out for you. If you don't figure it out by yourself, is that sufficient? Okay, cool. So we made up to final. There's gonna be some reports. They're gonna be worth 20%, and quizzes are 10%. They're weekly quizzes and homeworks and stuff like that.
So, final exam would be on the computer or laptop?
It'll be here, but on a laptop, yeah. And again, I'm letting you guys have access to the material while you're writing it, but realize if I'm letting you have access to the material, that means you have to know the material well enough that it's useful to you. My wife took law and she went for the bar exam, and the bar exams are also open book. In fact, it's so open book that they have a special program that they use that lets you skim through everything really quickly. And if you don't know exactly where you're going, people don't finish the bar. Like it's really intensive, but they're dealing with like stacks and stacks and stacks of different codes. So, you know, take that as it is. It's not as intense as the bar. It's like one semester worth of material, but you should know exactly how to use that material. And my biggest secret is just keep up. If you do a really good job understanding the material while you're learning it, then by the time you get to the exam, it's just a light review, and then you're pretty much good to go. I usually, as one of my secrets to doing really well on tests, I always take one day off before any exam to just chill out, and I eat some bananas and eggs in the morning because bananas are high in potassium and eggs have a lot of omega-3. So I hope that helps. And then there's something called the 50-50 rule. This is the one that you gotta be really careful about. So what the 50-50 rule is there's the practical and there's the theoretical. As long as you get above 50% in each of those individually, you get the average of the two of them, and you're fine. So if you got like 51 in the practical, but you got 100 in theoretical, you're probably gonna end with like an 80 or something like that, or 78 or something pretty high. If you had 49% on the practical and 100% in theoretical, you get the lower of the two, which means you end up with 49 and you don't pass the course. Now, obviously, if I'm going through the final grades and I'm looking through everything and I see, you know, this person got a 49 and he did really well on the other side, I might think, you know, I might just bump them up, but I need to be able to justify that. Which means if you were there all the time, if you worked really hard, and I know you're a good student, yeah, I'll for sure bump you up that grade. But if you were like never showing up, if you know, were always kind of copying off of someone else, which is a different problem entirely, I might look at that 49 and be like, I really want to give them 50, but I would be doing them a huge disservice in the future. And I don't feel comfortable doing that. So please avoid giving me moral dilemmas. Show up, work hard, do your own work, and then I can just easily be like, yeah, 50, no problem, and you're good to go. I'm a pretty easy grader. I think there's a couple of people in here who've been in my course before, and I hope they can testify that I'm pretty easy at grading. Like, I don't try to give you guys a hard time, okay? But I wanna see that you guys know what you're talking about, and I try to give you the information as well as I can. So, you know, if you have questions, ask questions, bother me, drill until you understand it, and you'll be good. Okay, this is the timeline for the course. This is available on Blackboard. Under this course outline, you're gonna see it there. Long story short, week 7, just after week 7, you're gonna have reading week. There's gonna be midterm exams. There are homework. There's lectures that we're talking about, so that's the content we're going through. There's gonna be quizzes for each of them. There's gonna be assignments as dictated, and here are the labs. Over here are the Automation Studio files that need to get submitted, and the weight of each one of these assignments. Correspondingly, there's not a lot to this other than the fact of the timelines. Robert?
Does Automation Studio cost money?
Generally it does. Because you're part of this course, we get you free access. Cool. It's gonna be on Blackboard too under Automation Studio Access, okay? Any questions about the calendar? All of your important dates are here, and yeah, just go through it in more detail. You know, midterms is gonna be from February 20th to 24th. Final exams is gonna be from, the review is gonna be on the 10th to 14th. The actual final exams are gonna be on the 17th to 21st during your normal sessions. And I'm just gonna warn you guys ahead of time, because I probably didn't do a good job with last semester to warn people enough. This Lab 9 looks deceptively easy, because you know, it's like you have 3 weeks after that to do nothing, right? Notice it's worth 1.5% where the rest were worth 0.5. That's because, as it says, various circuits, there are 3 circuits. So instead of having to design just one, you have to do 3, you have to build 3, and you have to make Automation Studio files for 3. It's a lot of work, but you have the time to do it. You could do a lot in a short time, but come to the class prepared. By the way, just in terms of labs, you should always come to a lab with it printed out already and having read through it beforehand. And that way, when you get to the lab, you know what you're doing, you know how you're gonna build it when you come in. You can grab your stuff, you can build it really quickly, you can do all of your signatures really quickly, and you can either try to do multiple in a week, or you can just get out early. It's better to be early than not finish, okay? And if you're starting to just review it when you get to class, it already puts you behind. Last chance for asking any questions about the schedule. What's your name?
Arwen.
Arwen?
Yeah.
What's up, Arwen?
I don't know if you already said it already, but are the labs pre-released, like all of them?
Yeah, you can see all of them already.
So
Yeah.
are we able to, go through them now?
There would be nothing that would make me happier than for you to finish all of the labs next week. Yeah? It's not gonna happen, but I would be very happy if it did, okay? Yeah.
The book is listed in the course outline?
This one,
Yeah, it's listed in the course outline?
this is the course outline. No, sorry, no, it's not listed in the course outline, you're right.
There's I should put up the ISBN, right, so that I can.
Yeah, if you want, you can take a picture. You also have access to this full slide as a PDF and the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, it's under week 1 for lectures, okay?
So this is available on Blackboard?
The whole PowerPoint, yeah. And it's slide page number 5, okay? All right, ChatGPT. What are you guys' thoughts on ChatGPT? You don't? Who said I don't like it? You don't like ChatGPT. Okay, why don't you like ChatGPT?
Well, I'm born in the early 90s, so I like to do, when I went to school, I had to go to the library. The internet wasn't really a thing when I was in middle school, so.
Yeah.
It's nice, but I just feel like it's making us a little bit more lazy, but it's nice.
I hear that. Someone else have an opinion about ChatGPT? What's your name?
Sahed.
Zed?
Sahed.
Zahed. Zahed.
Sahed, the S.
I'm so sorry. Sahej?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Sahej, what's going on?
I think it's very resourceful if you know how to use it right.
If you know how to use it right. I like that. It's a really good statement. I saw another hand. Geez, I just had your name. Arwen. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like if you can master prompting, then like a lot of it will be faster.
Yeah, prompting is a big thing for sure. Can you guys trust ChatGPT 100%?
No.
No, yeah. How many times has ChatGPT fed you a big fat lie as the truth?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone, right? Okay. I saw another hand. What's your name?
Theo.
Theo, what's going on?
I would just want to say that I don't really like ChatGPT either.
Okay, why don't you like ChatGPT?
It's just, I just feel like it's very unethical to use.
Why?
There's a lot of resources that go into using it, and it's just, there's a lot that gets wasted in terms of use for ChatGPT. I think I agree with what other people say, that if you use it properly, there can be use cases where it works really well.
I'm just really curious. You're saying it's like wasteful. Are you talking about energy terms?
Energy terms,
Yeah.
Components, you know, you've seen, I'm sure you've probably seen RAM prices and.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable.
It's ridiculous price, they're taking up so much resources on energy and physical resources just for.
You know what, Theo? I like your theology. It's really cool. It's the first time I've heard that argument before, and I haven't even thought about it. So that's really cool.
I like locally run AIs.
Yeah, I do local, and honestly, I use ChatGPT a lot. Real talks, but I'm always careful with ChatGPT, and let's talk about it in terms of your education. You're welcome to use ChatGPT, and it's like you guys were saying, it really comes down to how you're using it. So if you're trying to like learn how to do something, let's say you're doing your homework and you have a question that you're really struggling with, you know, and your brain is like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so frustrated, because we've all been there, right? It's not a problem for you to take a picture of the question and be like, hey, ChatGPT, can you help me work through this? And hopefully you have the class lecture material right next to you, so you can compare if it's actually doing the right thing. And if it like explains it to you in a way that makes sense to you, that's amazing. And if you actually get to the right answer after, that's fantastic. That's exactly what you want to use it for. If you're using it to do your assignments for you, that's where we're really bridging unethical, right? It's almost the same thing as a friend. If you have a friend and you're working with them, it's absolutely good and encouraged to work with someone through your problems. But when you copy each other, that's where there's a problem, right? And that's where academic integrity comes into play. And it's not like he gave me permission to use it. No, it's like you haven't done your own work. And why are we in school, right? We're in school to learn. If you copy off of someone else, have you learned anything, or did you just get a grade? You just got a grade. You guys just want a grade. I'll give you a grade. I've literally offered people in a lab, I'm like, listen, you seem like a person who really wants to know stuff here. It seems like you're frustrated. I understand frustration. Are you just here for a grade, or do you want to actually know what you're doing? And I was about to invest like 20 minutes of my time into that person. So I was like, if they're just interested in a grade, I have no interest in teaching them right now. So I told them, you know what? If you want a grade, I'll give you 100% right now. What do you guys think he said? That's what I was expecting him to do, to be honest. And I severely underestimated him, because he really wanted the information. He was just really stressed out. Because it gets stressed out. And he said, you know what? No, I want to understand this. And so I sat with him for 20 minutes. We went over everything from scratch up to the point where he understood it. And he got 100 either way. But he also had the knowledge. Any case, let's leave that there. If you want to use ChatGPT to clean up your emails, it's pretty much the bread and butter of what I use ChatGPT for. And yeah, it's, you know, cleans up your reports pretty nicely after you've done the grunt work. But I would still read through it, make sure it didn't change anything in a weird way. And use those good prompts that you guys were saying, right? All labs, yeah, I think we talked about this. Come with all of them printed out. Go over them before you get to class. And that's gonna be pretty much it. Extra time, you guys are welcome to come anytime. So here's the deal. The labs are technically open every single day. Monday to Friday, they're open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then on the weekend, you can access them from 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. If you want to access them, there is an office downstairs where all of the techs are working out of. It's kind of, have you guys been to the basement in NB yet? All of you guys? No? Okay. When you get to the lab and you want to know where the office is, ask me. But there's like kind of a long corridor where the men's washroom is. It's at the end of the corridor, opposite side of the staircase. If anyone's been there, I think that's a pretty good description. Now, if there's a teacher already in the lab, all you have to do is go up to them and be like, hey, can I use your lab? And if they say yes, absolutely go in, mindful of your volume, because there's a class going on, and do your business and get your stuff done, and you're good. If they say no, get out, come back after their class. And I will generally be okay with you guys taking a video to show me in class for a signature. Unless we're really running at deficit of time, Like last semester, there was like 3 weeks because of the ways the holidays all came out that people were behind. So I ended up accepting video submissions online. I'm not planning to do that right now, but you can take a video, show it to me in person, and as long as you clearly showed each component is working when it's supposed to work, and that you understand how the circuit's supposed to work, I am very happy to give you that signature without you having to rebuild it again. Theo,
Is there any lab boxes that we need to purchase?
for this course, no. Okay? Everything you need is in the lab, and by the time you guys leave your first lab class, the lab will be yours. What else do we need to talk about? We kind of talked about this. Yeah, so just don't copy other people's stuff. You can work with other people, don't copy them. If you guys, is it on the next slide or is it on this one? No, it's not on this one. Yeah, so over here in the PowerPoint, there's a link to the policy for copywriting. You are expected to go through it. I don't know if people actually do, but you're expected to, and you'll be held accountable to this standard, so I highly advise you to go over it. If you always do your own work, you're not gonna run into an issue. It's pretty much the short form of it. Actually, when I was here in school, in my final year, there was a guy doing capstone. Do you guys know what capstone project is? So basically, at the culmination of your education, you guys are all in the technician or technologist course. So if you're in the technologist course, which is the 3-year course, on the 3rd year, you start something called the capstone project. Over 1 semester, you design a very intricate machine. On the 2nd semester, you build it. So there was this one guy working on his capstone project in my class who one day just magically vanished from the class. And we were kind of curious why. Turns out he went ahead and just copied the previous year's electrical schematics, put them into his project, and hoped for the best. It was really obvious that it was copied because it had absolutely nothing to do with his project. If you try to fake it, people are gonna find out. You need to be smart enough to cheat, if you know what I mean. So it's honestly, if you're already that smart, just do the work and you're gonna be 20 times further in life. In any case, enough about all of the harsh stuff. Code of conduct, you guys are also expected to go through this link. Yeah, I'll pretty much just show you guys the course outline when we get there. But essentially, go here, review the stuff. There is an environment of people here. Everyone deserves to feel respected. They all deserve to feel safe. There are certain guidelines to make sure everyone has that safe, comfortable place to be. And as long as we all are on the same page, we're all gonna feel good being here. And like, who wants someone else to lose out because like one person isn't a nice person or feels that they're entitled to more than they ever should possibly think. Not gonna get into that too much either, but read through these, familiarize yourself. And the saddest part really is just, in life sometimes we don't really recognize that we're being insensitive to other people. And that's why they made this code of conduct, because they're the people who, you're not gonna be able to help one way or the other, unfortunately. But then they're the people who want to be nice and want to make people feel included and feel good, but they don't know how to. And it's not because they don't know how to, they've never had the mental training. And everything really is a training. We have to learn every single aspect of life as we're going through it. So if you can, you're expected to know what's in there as well. In terms of your careers here at Humber, this is a job. It's literally a full-time occupation. In fact, I would argue studying is a lot more work than a job. For those of you guys who work, when you leave work, you leave it behind for the most part, except for very few industries, and you can go relax, do your thing. For the next 2 or 3 years, this is pretty much all there is for you guys, especially if you're trying to do a job on top of it, which I did my entire career, so I can speak from a place of experience. 70 to 80 hours a week is what full-time studies with good grades and a part-time job looks like. And it's really intense, and you're always struggling, and you're always juggling, and you're always at a lack of sleep. So, I understand. I'll help you guys as much as I can. Just try to treat it with the amount of weight that it deserves, because if you don't, and you only realize in week 9 or 10, hey, I am really far behind, it's gonna be practically impossible to catch up. The bright news is, you never really should give up, because I had a guy reach out to me in week 10 last semester who I was certain would not pass the course at that point. and he had like very complicated family issues. Like I'm not gonna get into it too deeply, but he literally put in so much effort that he managed to turn everything around. I asked him after the fact, if you could do it all again, would you? He's like, no, that was way too much. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. Like, I was rooting for him, but I didn't believe in him. And I think that was a mistake on my part too, right? So, be accurate. You guys are gonna be in engineering. So be accurate with your times, be accurate with your measurements. Be precise and work hard. Yeah, hard work. Who likes hard work? We love hard work. Yeah? Okay, cool. How do you write? We were talking about professional documentations. This is gonna be the important part of this. You guys can review this and go over it in detail. We're just gonna go through a little bit quicker. Let's say I'm writing this in a document, right? You guys are gonna have to submit some documents online that have math in them. When you're writing this out, if I'm trying to say power is equal to current squared times resistance, and then I come to the next line and I say power is equal to 2 amps squared times 100 ohms, what is my answer gonna be? 200 written like this, right? Is that what I should be writing? No. There's no brackets around the 2 amps. So what should you do? Put the brackets in, then we get 400 amps squared ohms, which is really watts. Make sense? Any questions? Anyone have any questions so far before we continue moving? Yeah.
Mind if I take a picture of that so I can memo it better?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know sometimes it's like I have slides to access, but like I just rather have it on my phone.
Are these slides on Blackboard?
Yeah, everything's on Blackboard, yeah. Okay, and, yes. Can you speak up for me? Sorry, I'm getting old.
Can you come back to the last? So why not why is it necessary to write 5 amps squared ohm? Why not?
Oh, the formula?
Yeah.
Yeah, so proper format whenever you're doing anything is start off with your formula, arrange your formula for what you're solving for, isolate the variable that you're solving for, then plug in numbers, and then simplify or just get to the answer. Clear? Cool. Now in terms of you guys having online access to videos and help, there is Lars Explains, the total OG who has a video for everything. He is the GOAT, and he will literally explain everything to like the smallest degrees. I also started a channel for videos like this. There are like 3 videos, so I'm slowly adding content. But you know, if you guys like the way I teach, you're welcome to hop on my channel.
Yeah.
And if there's a video for it, great, but there's not much content. And I have a whopping 12 subscribers. Woo! So we'll get there, and yeah, there's also all the videos for Lars's videos are posted at like every single turn in Blackboard. So don't worry, you'll find them, no problem. And if you have a subject you're interested in, you can always just go to Lars Explains and just, honestly, I used to, like when I was bored, this is so nerdy. I used to just like sit and like eat a meal while watching weird videos by Lars, like on topics that I wasn't studying. And they were really interesting, like it's crazy. He really does a good job explaining everything, and he just has so much energy. If you want to watch capacitors explain, explode, he'll do that too. What's going on?
You have 14 subscribers now.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, that is a whole 6% gain. Whoa, guys. You're gonna flatter me too much. Okay, cool. Now we've actually reached the question and answer portion of this slide. Anyone have questions? I might have answers, or maybe I'll have the questions and you guys have the answers with the script. No, we're all good? Going once, going twice, 3 times, sold. Okay, let's talk about safety for a few minutes. Safety is everyone's responsibility. We all play an equal role in it. In terms of the lab that you're working in, you're probably gonna be okay. Like, let's be honest. They have a lot of safeties already in place. You can't really go over current. They have surge protection in the specific lab that this class is operating in. Pretty much every other class is not the same. But this is an introductory course, so they were extra careful. But you should be paying attention. Honestly, even while you're putting wires away, there's a bit of a danger hazard. Like I was putting wires away at the end of last semester, I smashed my thumb into one of them. You'll notice that there's like little grooves for the wires to go into. I smashed my thumb into it, it like turned red, it was bleeding, and it took like 3 months to heal. No, it wasn't that long ago. It took like 3 weeks to heal. That makes a bit more sense. So like, you know, you can hurt yourself. That was minor, but if you're in one of the like 2nd or 3rd year labs for motors, there's like hundreds, 280 volt, 240 volts going through some of the panels. Then you have the other panels that have like 600 volts going through them. When you get into safety, there's something called calories when it comes to electricity. You're not going to learn about this in this class, I think. It's more of like a Mech 2 thing, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, 1 calorie is if you were to hold your hand 1 inch above a fire for like a minute or something like that. So it's like it's a decent amount of damage. It hurts, and like there's labs downstairs that like you need 1,000 calorie protection. So just as you're learning, try to be cognizant of these ideas, because like it really will be dangerous at some point, even if this class isn't terribly dangerous. Water, you want to avoid water in the classroom. And if you guys notice something unsafe, if you notice a spill or something, we don't want people falling or slipping either. Tell someone like me, or if you see a custodian, or whatever the case is, and we'll figure it out so that like everyone's safe. Now here's a few types, because we are talking about, you know, electricity and stuff like that, a few types of shock hazards that can happen. This one is, no, you know, let's ask you guys, which one do you guys think is the most dangerous from all of these? Okay, I got answers from all of you. What's your name? Musa? Yeah, Musa. Musa. Musa.
Yes.
Musa. Which one do you think?
First one.
This one? It's because I went for that one first, right? No? Okay, good. Why is this one the most dangerous? Because it goes right through your heart? That's exactly it. So, through the legs, not good. Definitely doesn't go through your heart. Left side, super dangerous. Right side, also dangerous, but not as dangerous. And you really got it on the point. You gotta be super, super careful about your heart. Do you know one of the most terrifying things about someone who gets electrocuted? When they get electrocuted, whatever they're holding on to, you think like, oh, you feel a zap, you want to let go. No, the electricity forces the clench. It forces the contraction of the muscles, so once they touch it, they can't let go. There has to be another person to remove them from it, and if that person just grabs them, then they can start getting electrocuted. It's terrifying. It's really terrifying. So we really gotta be careful, especially with that. Make sure you have proper protection at all times. This is a little list of different things that happen at different amperages. Because the voltage isn't the thing that kills you, it's the amperage that kills you. In terms of 0.4 milliamps, it's a slight sensation, you might feel it. When you get to 1.1, that's where you really start to notice there's like, you start to feel it, like it tickles, right? But like a little bit on the painful side. At 1.8 milliamps, there's shock. It's not what we define as pain, but you don't lose your muscle control yet. At 9 amps, now it's painful, but you still haven't lost control of your muscles. At 16, it's painful, and that's the let go threshold. That's when you can no longer let go. At 23 milliamps, now there's severe pain, muscle contraction, and it's starting to get hard to breathe. At 75, there's ventricular, I'm saying this a bit hard, ventricular fibrillation. I'm not a biology guy, and that's where that happens. Does anyone know what ventricular fibrillation means?
It's like when your heart stops.
Not quite, but very similar. Anyone else want to take a guess? Yeah, it's a really hard word, right? Can anyone say that word properly? No? Okay, it's not just me? Thank God. That's less embarrassing. Okay, so what ventricular fibrillation means is there's ventricles in your heart. There's a left ventricle and a right ventricle. It's what like supplies blood to your entire body. When that happens on the lowest level, it just starts vibrating instead of pulsing and pumping blood to your system. And so when it's vibrating, it's very dangerous. On the lowest level, someone has maybe 4 minutes to live.
Oh, that's why it's called like a defibrillator.
Exactly. Same fibrillation, and ventricle has to do with the heart. On point. At 235 amps, it's usually fatal in less than 5 seconds. At 4,000 amps, which is 4 amps, milliamps, which is 4 amps, that's when the heart stops moving. So it's not vibrating anymore, it's just stuck. It's stopped. And at 5 amps, your tissue starts to burn. It's pretty rough. This chart is not an easy one to look at, but it's important to know, yeah? So this is what's it called, a spark plug that you have in your engine. This one, it has 20,000 volts in it, and honestly, with the is it 12 volt or 12 volt battery? No, apparently 24 volt battery. I think cars use 12 volt batteries though. With a 24 volt battery, you have the potential to kill someone, or someone has the potential to be killed. So you just, just because it looks like it's a small amount of voltage, don't be deceived. Under the right circumstances, which again we were talking about is amperage, as long as it has enough voltage to like actually move, right? Because voltage is the strength, amperage is the speed. It can do damage. So be careful. And then, in terms of equipment, we're going to talk about this in lab as well. But make sure that you're taking care of the place. If you took something out from a drawer, put it back in the same drawer you got it from. If you found it out of place, put it in the right drawer. When it comes to the wires, this is like the biggest nightmare for everyone that works here, and for you guys too. When you take it out, put them back where you got them from, and if you have like a really long wire, don't put it in a place that it has to go through 2 of the slots. Because if it goes through 2 slots, as soon as someone tries to pull it out, they're pulling out 1,000 wires from both of the slots. Just put the ones that fit in the right size to the right place. If it's not fitting on the one that has its proper size, there's a reason for it. And it'll be a lot easier. Not to mention, when we get to the final exam, for the practical, we try to fix as many of the components and everything as we can. But if you guys are taking really bad care of the equipment, it's gonna be really damaged. So, we're gonna be giving you equipment, and your exam will literally be harder based on whether the equipment's working or not. Now, I expect you guys to be able to troubleshoot any component by the end of this course and figure out which component's broken, and then swap it out and make it work. In fact, there's a part of the final exam where I literally tell you turn around and I break something, and then I tell you fix it. So there are bonus problems that pop up that you don't get bonus marks for, based on whether the piece of equipment you got was broken and whether you tested it beforehand or not, or during the middle of your trial. So if everyone from the get-go treats the equipment really well, then all of the equipment will probably be functioning by the final exam, and everyone will probably have a bit of an easier exam. Because I think on last semester's final exam, I'd say half of the students got broken equipment that they weren't expecting. And I didn't give it to them on purpose. But they are expected to be able to deal with it. And you guys are also expected to be able to deal with it. Okay, housekeeping we got? Yeah, I'm seeing some shaking heads. Okay, so we've gone through everything. Let me check the time, and then if we have time, I want to hear a bit more about each of you guys.